fall season for me as a gardener means that I'm going to go out in my garden and harvest everything that I can harvest before the first frost. Now I'm out here harvesting these herbs that I've been growing in my garden since the spring. And throughout the entire season, which was spring, summer, and fall, I was able to harvest an abundant amount of herbs of different types and different varieties, which I would harvest them and process them sometimes by air drying or dehydrating. Now the herbs that I'm harvesting here, I'm going to be blending them together with a little bit of water and Frutina vinegar that I made at home, which would then be refrigerated for use over the winter months. Now I use different methods of preserving these herbs because some of it I use as teas, some of it I use as a dry rub for my meats. And so I process them in a way that I can turn it into a powder form. And when I do it that way, I separate them in different jars so you would have just one type of herb in a jar by itself, which is different from blending them all together when I'm making my green seasoning. And these herbs, you can use it in stews, you can use it in baking meats or roasting meats, you can use it in vegetables. And this is a good thing about being able to preserve these herbs, where you can do things like making oil infusions with it, you can use it in your cooking, and lots of other different creative things that you can also experiment with in a safe manner. And this is why I like growing herbs, because it's very healthy, it's beneficial, it's tasty in your different dishes when you're cooking. And what I've been doing all throughout the season is keep harvesting these, because once you harvest it, it will just constantly send out new growth, even though it slows down quite a bit in the summertime with all that intense summertime heat. But in the spring and also in the fall, they do so much better because they're not stressed from that summer's heat that bears down on them all day, and the days are longer in the summer, as you know. So that puts a bit of heat stress on those plants. Now, I've already made 2 batches of this green season throughout the season, and like I said, I also did dry some and process them into powder. Now I'm going to be doing a final batch of the green seasonings to close off the season. And the good thing about these herbs is that they come back every year, they're perennials. So I just go through and I wash them off thoroughly, looking for any little insects, any little bugs that might be present, and I use just the water to wash them. I don't add any vinegar or any baking soda. I know some people use those to clean some of their foods, whether they purchase it in the store or whether they grow it in their own garden. But I don't see the need for it. I've never used it before. And so I'm going to continue to use just the water. Now I go through and I strip the leaves of the herbs. I don't put this hard one, this dried out one here in the blender. I just use the softer part of the stems. And I use just enough liquid so I get a really nice consistency. It's not too watered down and it's not too thick either. I'm sure everyone's got their personal preference, but this is pretty much it. This is the end of season, and I am storing up for the months when I'm not out here actively growing in my garden. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next upload.